Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. God, I look like a deer in the headlights then. Oh, welcome back. Sorry about the thumping music. I forgot to turn it down before we transitioned. But welcome to Ask the Cheeseman. This is where you can ask your home cheese making questions. For those who are new, I'm Gavin Weber. I'm the host and the chief curd nerd, and I will attempt to answer those said home cheese making questions. Welcome to so many people in the chat. Fantastic. What was I going to say? I was going to say that thank you to all of the financial members of the show. You can see in the chat there are so many members that are in the chat. It is so good. You can tell because they've got their names are green, I think. Yeah, green, and they've got little icons after their name denoting how long they've been a member. Let me just bring that up. So thank you to all the YouTube members, specifically this week, Donna Barth for renewing her membership, and to Liz Garson for becoming a new member. Thank you very much, Liz and Donna, and thank you to all the rest of the YouTube members there. Also, don't forget the patrons. We've also got a Patreon page. Thank you to all of the patrons who financially support the show. Okay. Also still diligently working on the blue cheese course for the Curd Nerd Academy. Ben and I have been, I've been recording videos and Ben's been editing them, so that's good fun. I've tried to stick to the deadline, self-imposed deadline of the end of this month, but it hasn't come to fruition. We've only got, one day to go. So I don't think I'll make it, but we're still aiming for the end of next week to get it all done, so working diligently on that. So that'll be a great little course. Let's say, the videos. So the videos coming up, those who are members and patrons have already had early access to the Jack in the Box video, which is a cheese inside a cheese. Very cool. I'm getting some good feedback from members and patrons from that. I've also just finished filming Red Leicester, so that will be getting edited this week. I've made a Leicester before, but never a full-blown Red Leicester, and the colour is stunning. So very impressed with that. I've also got a Stilton sitting on the kitchen bench, in the flipping stage, for those who have made Stilton before. So that's great. I looked back at the Stilton video, 11 years old it is, and I must say that my video production skills and values have increased somewhat since then, and I'm glad, because I don't know how anybody could possibly make a Stilton from that video. So so I've just upped the amount of milk in that recipe and changed it just slightly, which I'll be changing in the books, but the recipe will be available as a recipe card on the merch store once that's released as well. And of course, the Jack in the Box taste test. I'm actually tasting that today because it is 3 months old. And the Tassie Devil taste test, I'll be tasting that next week as well. So that'll be good fun. Now, thanks to everybody who's in the chat. We'll say g'day to a few people all the way back at the start. What have I missed? Tracy from Cheese Needs was the first person. Got a day off. G'day, Tracy. You got Shauna and Valerie, Anthony. G'day to all of you. D Masters, Nolan, who's Fun Pants 94. Who else we got there? We've got Jim, Jackson, Robert M. G'day, Robert. And Jim, and all the usernames were almost taken. Nice. It's a bit of a mouthful. I'll just call you almost. All the user. Heidi, annoying fan, welcome. H, g'day H. Titus and Cool Cat, g'day to both of you. Lady Wave and Persnickety, and we got a few more here. Give us a look. Patricia, hello Patricia, love to see you, of course. Boris, welcome back, mate. Anthony, I can't remember if I said Anthony, g'day. Katerina and Liz and Will and Michelle and Michael and Jenny, g'day to both of you. Jeanette, Patrick, Patty is there as well, and Donk, and I think that's about it. Yeah, Robin. G'day, Robin. Alrighty, so we got everybody there. It's nice to see. We've got 40 people watching, which is absolutely fantastic. Let's get into some questions. Let's see if I can find one. There was one from Nolan somewhere. Okay, so here's a question. First question. So there's part two, but part one was about stirring. So is overstirring a consideration for a crumbly finished cheese? I did not see that listed and was trying to go through some additional troubleshooting outside of what's mentioned. Okay, so the main consideration for a crumbly cheese, Nolan, is acidity. So if the acidity of the cheese is too high, as in the pH is a low number, then you will find that the final cheese will be crumbly. That's why when you... Alright, so let me just think of some examples. So cheddar has a high pH. High pH. High acidity, low pH. And cheddar is a crumbly cheese, right? The real dinky dye cheddar. Cheeses like Edam and Gouda and any of the washed curd cheeses all have a higher pH, lower acidity, and they have more of an elastic paste. So that is one of the main considerations. Overstirring, yes, would cause high acidity because the longer you leave the curds in the whey, the lower the acidity becomes. And the more crumbly the cheese becomes. So yes, that is a consideration. But yeah, overall acidity of the curds itself is one of the biggest considerations of a crumbly cheese. Hope that helped. Next question is from... Let me see if I can find it. Heidi said, hello everybody, I've made a caprino romano in the cheese press and the ricotta made from the whey is draining as I type. Well done. Where is the next one? Sorry, just still looking. Yeah, if just a note in the chat, I'm struggling to find questions here. Just make sure that you put some cues in front of any questions, just like Michelle has in the chat there. Thank you, Michelle. Will says, hi Gavin, long time, first time. Okay, so that's long time viewer, first time live stream, maybe? Have you thought about making audiobook versions for your two books? Will, I did answer this in the chat, but just for everybody, yes, I did think about it for about 5 minutes or so once, but I actually bought, just to figure out whether it was possible, I actually bought a recipe book that was being converted to an audio book, and it was so boring and very, very difficult to follow. So I decided against it because I would think that if I read those books as audiobooks, and I would do the voiceover myself because I think if I used anybody else, people would be disappointed. They would be very boring. I'd put people to sleep in about 10 minutes, and nobody would be able to follow the recipes. They'd have to buy the book to read along, if that makes sense. But I suppose from a financial point of view, that's a good thing. But yeah, I'd rather not get 1-star ratings from an audiobook. But thanks for the thought. Appreciate it. Michael says, good morning, Gavin. Wet and cold from Adelaide. It's not so wet, but it's very, very cold here too, Michael. Good for cheese making. Yes, I suppose it is. Jarlsberger's in the brine this morning. See how it goes. Jenny says hi. Hi, Jenny. How are you? Katarina says, forget Charlie. I think somebody asked whether I was going to make a cheese for the coronation. I said, no, I'm not much of a royalist. Katarina says, forget Charlie. We need a cheese named after our late queen. Perhaps a Dame Edna Edam. Indeed. And rest in peace, Barry. As Cool Cat has said. For those who don't know, Barry Humphries, or a.k.a. Dame Edna Everidge, or a.k.a. Les Patterson, and a few other personas, passed away. So sad. He's an old bloke, so had a good innings, I think. I actually saw him once, would you believe, when I was a young bloke, about 20, I think, when I was stationed at Garden Island, which is the naval base in Sydney, when I was serving on, I think it was HMAS Canberra, for want of a better name. I was walking up George Street in Sydney, and I saw Barry Humphries and said, g'day, mate. And he said, g'day back. So, salt of the earth. Good on you, Barry. Alrighty. Anthony says the ingredients would get very monotonous to listen to, and when you'd have to worry about pausing things in between steps, I think it would just be odd. Yeah, I indeed, I agree. Okay. Patricia says, hi, Gavin. I just watched the Jack in the Box video with interest, and Patricia can do so because she's a member. I'm wanting to make Huntsman cheese again, which is Stilton inside double Gloucester, but the method would have to be different to Jack in the Box. Yeah, I think, Patricia, you sent me a video ages ago that had how they did it. They kind of like smoothed the double Gloucester over the Stilton and formed it into like a cocoon. So pretend that the Stilton was the grub turning into a butterfly or whatever it's turning into, a beetle, and the chrysalis formed on the outside. So yeah, I saw them. It looked really difficult. So anyway, so I thought that when Cheryl came up with that idea years ago, I've just had it in my to-do list to do, and I thought, this looks really, really interesting. So I'm hoping the taste is going to be amazing as well. So the cheese looks good. I checked it yesterday. Did the weekly flippy thing. So that's cool. Let's just have a look. Persnickety says, I made your triple spicy pepper jack for a client. Stated regular wasn't spicy enough, so challenge accepted. Yeah, I think you're going to have to get some habaneros in there, or some, what are they called? South Carolina Reapers. I'm sure that'll be hot enough for them. Goodness me. Will says, very true, Jeanette. They're talking about there's a voice conversion tool on Android that you can use if you really want the ebooks to be read to you. All right, Patty has a question. Says, so I'm working on finding and ordering all supplies I need for your raw milk camembert, but I can't find single strength rennet. Does it matter? Will other rennet work? Yeah, look, just have a look. Other rennets will work, but they will be a different dosage. So I'm not sure where you're located, Patty. We have single strength rennet, I just call it liquid rennet on our store. So we have that in stock. I'm not sure if you're in Australia or New Zealand. We ship all over the world, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just show you some examples. Do I have my page? Let's have a look. Quick look. So over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au, I know it's a plug, of course, but because Kim and I own it. But if you go to the cheese making section, there's some rennet, and we have a couple others. So there's a few single strengths that we stock. So the liquid rennet from Mad Millie, and the liquid rennet from Green Living Australia, which is Chimax Plus, which is a single strength rennet. So there's a couple of options for you there, if you so desire. Okay, so, and I'm pretty sure a few of the other places also stock, certainly in the US, I know lots of liquid rennet. They're all single strength. Just look for the IMCU rating between 200 and 280, and you should be good to go. Okay. Alrighty, and Robin has a follow-up and says, I've always been a bit mystified by single strength, double strength. Yep, there you go. Double strength has an IMCU between 400 and 500. IMCU means International Milk Clotting Units, so it's a measure on how strong rennet is. There you go. Anarchy Alien says, great name too, by the way. Hey Gab, hope all is well. I'm here, so it must be. I'm trying to make the Guido's hard cheese, but it's split in the centre with gases and tasting rather chemically. Any clue on what I may have done wrong? I know, not much info. Yes, that is not much info. I would say no. Very hard to diagnose. There's so many things that can produce gas. Usually the starter culture. If it's raw milk and it hasn't been pasteurised, low temperature, long hold, you may get some gas development from coliform infections or other sorts of infections or yeasts in the milk. Yeah, very difficult to diagnose without a photo or further information. Sorry, Anarchy Alien. And Jennifer, I think Jennifer's just saying that hello, hi there. H says, what is the easiest cheese to start? Well, you know, all the cheeses are easy to start. You pour the milk in the pot, but I think to start with, if you've never made cheese, well, there are quite a few. I have, I was just reading a comment from Tracy there about what she thinks IMCU stands for. Beginner's cheese. There's a video on the channel. Go and have a look for it. It's beginner's cheeses to start without a cheese fridge. Just to rattle them off the top of my head. Paneer, halloumi, feta, Guido's hard Italian cheese is an easy one to start with, and Caffili is another one to start with. Ricotta, obviously, as simple as whole milk ricotta. So there's some easy ones to start with. Go with the soft ones first, and then try to make harder ones a little bit later. All the user says you recommended to add lipase during your mozzarella recipe, so the quick mozzarella, yes, but to only do this if you plan to start eating the cheese the following day. So my question is, how long should I wait for the best taste for pizza? Okay, so with a quick mozzarella, it doesn't really hold its form. I do recommend that you add lipase if you want to. Just leave it for about a minimum of 12 hours. But the problem with quick mozzarella cheese is that it flattens. It doesn't hold its shape. It doesn't have the, you would say in Star Trek, the structural integrity that's required for a cheese to stay in a solid form. It's a bit like a changeling, if you've watched Star Trek and Deep Space Nine and the recent Picard Season 3. I'm a bit of a trekker, if you didn't realise. So, yeah, it's probably best to make traditional mozzarella. So I did have a video. Let me just see if I can find it. What the heck am I doing? I need more coffee, but let me just have a quick look. So if we look for, go to search on the channel page. If I go look for Moz, where is it? This one here. So how to make real mozzarella at home. We can get a link, as you do. I'll pop that in there. Go and have a look at that video. See what you think. You'll get a solid structure mozzarella, and yeah, you'll be good to go. So you won't have too many troubles with that. So much better way of doing it. Okay. Big Shoe says, how much cream should I add to homogenized milk? Is there a ratio to go by? Look, it depends how much fat the homogenized milk has got in it. Homogenization is nothing to do with the fat content of the cream, or fat content of the milk. It's just the way that the milk is processed to break up the fat, to stop it from floating to the top. Apparently, smaller fat globules are easier to digest, is one of the reasons they homogenize milk. I've never had a problem with unhomogenized milk at all. I grew up on it. In fact, I grew up on raw milk when I was a kid, because my dad ran a dairy farm and I worked on the dairy farm with Dad. After school and before school. So, is there a ratio? Right, to increase the fat content of any milk, you use what's called Pearson square. So what we do is we go and look for, back to the page again, to the repository of all cheese knowledge. Fat. We'll look for fat. There we go. Calculating milk fat content for cheese. And I go through the process of how to do that with a tool called Pearson Square. Go and check that video out. And you will be a wise person once you've watched that. And you'll understand how to calculate the different ratios for fat to increase the fat content of your milk. Okay. Cool Cat says, if you have a question, please write. Thank you, Cool Cat. Very good. Michelle says, I'm curious about your thoughts on rehydrating lipase in water ahead of time versus letting it rehydrate in the milk. For example, while the milk is warming. Look, you can do it both ways. I've found that sometimes that the lipase doesn't really want to incorporate into the milk properly. I tend to add it to a little bit of water beforehand to let it dissolve. It's really hard to dissolve. So that's the reason I add it into the water ahead of time instead of having to keep stirring it into the milk. That's the only reason I do that. I do let it sit for about 15 minutes and it's just a lot easier. So there you go. Thank you, Michelle, for asking that question. Tycho says, Dearest Gavin, I come from a broken home and you have been a father figure to me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks for putting your trust in me as the father figure. Goodness me. Robin says, an audiobook using Professor Snape as the voiceover. Yeah, that'd be funny. Big Shoe. Oh, all right, we've already seen that question. We did that. Tracy says, so sad to hear about Dame Edna. I met them in England once. Him, it was a bloke, dressed as a lady. But yeah, very cool. Next question is from Shauna, says, love to the Jack in the Box tutorial. I can't wait to make this one, but my family doesn't like chili. Sad for me because I do. What other flavour could I put in the Jack? Like the photos you sent me, Shauna, you could put peppercorns. Try green peppercorns. I'm pretty sure they can handle just normal pepper. So go get yourself a can or a jar of the green peppercorns. They're really soft, but they've got a bit of a fiery bite, a peppery bite, not a chili bite. And you could use that. So other flavours you could put into the centre. probably just about any cheese you want. Only reason I chose that because of the cool name. Yeah, so, pepper jack in a box, Jack in the Box. And I thought it'd be cool visually when I cut it open. I hope that's what it's going to look like this afternoon when I open the cheese and have a look. But yeah, look, you could just about do anything. So anything that I've added to a cheese before in the past, you could add to the center cheese. Just make them different colors so it looks a little bit quirky, I think. So yeah, I don't think there'll be any issues with the sort of cheese you made in the middle. So you could even put, say, a Cotswold in the middle. Just colour it a little bit more heavier, and make the outside just a farmhouse cheddar without any annatto in it. So yeah, you could do that. Fun Pants Nolan says, are there cheeses that are better suited for using homogenised milk than others? Yeah, look, the best cheeses that you can make with homogenised milk are the fresh cheeses. They're the best ones. Homogenised milk, regardless of whether you add calcium chloride or not, is difficult to set a curd. It's rather sloppy, and it's not because of the lack of calcium. You can fortify it with calcium from calcium chloride, as we do with being home cheese makers, but it's because the fat has been split unnaturally through tiny mesh filters. That's the homogenization process. So yeah, it's still a little bit difficult to set a curd. So fresh cheeses are the best. If all you've got is homogenized milk, fresh cheeses are the best ones. So there you go. Tracy says International Marvel Cinematic Universe, IMCU. Yeah, very cool. Funny. Paddy says, all right, thanks, Chief. I used to be a chief when I was in the Navy, Chief Petty Officer. Very good. I'll have to go and check out Little Green Workshops again. Yeah, indeed. If you can. No, this is Patrick says, I want to make a caramelized onion cheddar. Any thoughts? I buy one from my local butcher shop and it's amazing. I would think that they would probably put the onion into the cheese after the fact. So they would make the cheese, make sure it all tastes amazing, and then they would crumble it up and then distribute caramelized onion through the cheese and then repress it again. It's the only way I can think of doing it, because the sulfur in the cheese itself would inhibit the growth of the lactic bacteria during maturation. So that's the only way I can really think of how they would do it without getting a really funky tasting cheese. So yeah, I think they would process it after the fact. Like quite a few of those cheeses, like Wensleydale with cranberries and a whole bunch, even though I've made them with the cranberries in them and aged them, they don't turn out as well as I wanted them to, so you can do that. Patricia says the method of making Huntsman cheese video is really hard. Yes. Thinking of making an aged Stilton, then using the Jack in the Box method of popping the finished Stilton inside a double Gloucester curds before pressing. Hey, that'd work. That sounds very interesting, Patricia. Yeah, that would definitely work. I'm just thinking, because you get another 3 months of age, but then the Stilton would be protected from oxygen. So would the blue survive and not go all gunky and orangey and smelly? Not sure. You'd have to try. You have to give it a go. So when you do, show us the photos. That would be lovely. Persnickety says, I picked up is that 6-inch ramen sleeve scoop, or is that 6 foot? 6-inch. For my 5-gallon pots. Makes it a little easier for scooping whey than the standard strainer. Oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah. So that's for when you're dipping off whey down to the level of curds, or making a washed curd cheese when you've got to add water back in. D Masters says, I work mine more for pizza to squeeze out more moisture. I think you're talking about quick mozzarella. Yeah, you could overwork it and it'll be a lot firmer. So yeah. We've got a few other Trekkies there. Picard, so good. I cried. Anthony, I cried. So did Kim. We're both avid Trekkies and we just watch. It was great. I can't wait until Star Trek Legacy. Hashtag Star Trek Legacy. That would be good if it happened. But yeah, I must say, and this is going off the topic of cheese, that Terry Matalas is a great showrunner for that show. It's just absolutely blow my mind. It was just great. So many references. And Shauna, live long and prosper. Indeed. Well done. Gooseberry Hollow, lovely to see you, mate. Thank you very much for coming along. Cool Cat says Gavin's a Trekkie. Indeed. Yeah, sorry about that. Resistance is futile. Did you see the after credit? I did indeed, with John Delancey and Jack. So that's why I'm thinking that Star Trek Legacy will be a go, which is hopefully the show that comes after if Paramount Plus get their act together, or CBS or whatever they call themselves. Right, so that was the alarm for the gallery. That'd be a miss of me if I missed that, wouldn't it? Just a quick observation. Quick mozzarella is delicious on pizza. Work it more and you get good structure, not nearly as moist, but perfect for pizza. Well done. Thank you, D Masters. Okay, gallery. Where did I put it? There it is. And there's the questions. And there is the pictures. Yay! All right, so the first one is from Ashley. Oh, before I start, if you can see me down here, the gallery is brought to you, the home cheesemaker, who sends in pictures of cheeses that they've made themselves. So here we go. This one's from Ashley down in Tasmania, aka the Beach Hermit, which I haven't seen in the chat today. Ashley says, hi again, Gavin. I cut my raw milk Stilton. My goodness, super dense and creamy. Beautiful bite of blue. The only issue was the bee linens infection on the outside, which caused a bit too much gooey on the edges. Rather than that, just spectacular. Very happy with veining. Thanks, mate. Ash. Ash, that is an amazing looking cheese. What you can do with this gunk, and it's actually not bee linens, it's actually dead Penicillium roqueforti. I've been doing a bit of research, of course, for the blue cheese course. And when you exclude oxygen from Penicillium roqueforti, it turns into this orange gunk. That's sticky and gooey, and it makes the outside paste. It actually speeds up proteolysis, which makes the outside rind, if you leave it on too much, it makes it really tacky and gooey. So that's what's kind of happened there. And that could have happened underneath foil if you wrapped it in foil. So, yeah, it's very interesting to note that's actually what it is. It's not bee linens. That has it will off-gas ammonia as well, this stuff. So it will smell a bit. So scrape it off and you're good to go. But a fantastic looking Stilton, looks very creamy and looks amazing. So well done, mate. The next one is from Liz. Thank you, Liz, for sending this in. Excuse me. Liz says, hi, Gavin. I cut into this cheddar yesterday. It was made on the 1st of January 2023, so it was 17 weeks old. Okay, so that's nearly 4 months. That's good. Matured in wax at 10 degrees Celsius in the bottom compartment of the fridge. It has a good sharp flavour, moderately crumbly. I was surprised to see so many holes. Yeah, it looks like you got a little bit of late blowing going on there. See the fishes? But that's okay. It's fine to eat. It's only cosmetic. But they don't seem to detract from the flavour. Delicious on sourdough bread with chutney. I made it following Ricky Carroll's recipe for farmhouse cheddar in the latest edition of Home Cheese Making. It's a shortcut to a traditional cheddar, which is similar to your YouTube recipe. There's no cheddaring involved. It works well in my opinion, and it's a great option if the time is short. Thanks so much for your continued guidance and enthusiasm. I'm learning more every time I venture into the world of curd nerds. Cheers, Liz. P.S. By the way, I see that my camembert was the thumbnail for Ask the Cheeseman 269. Wow, I'm honoured in such esteemed company. Thank you. Pleasure's all mine, Liz. Thank you very much. Yeah, so stir curd cheddar is what I also called farmhouse cheddar. It's an easy, quick method of making something with a cheddary taste. And this looks pretty good. So there are some mechanical holes there, but there is that fissure there going on, which indicates late blowing. Now, late blowing is just a build-up of butyric acid, which can be caused by the cows eating silage when they're producing milk is usually the cause. So it's edible. It's not early blown, which it looks like a sponge. This is fine to eat. It's just cosmetic. And what they do in quite a few cheese making circles, like the Netherlands and in Spain, they add something that's called lysolac, which is derived from egg whites, and it actually it prevents late blowing, and it prevents this cosmetic anomaly in the cheese. However, if it tastes fantastic, I've had cheeses like this, people rave about it, it's great, no issues whatsoever. But if you want to, you could use lysolac, or you can use a protective culture. There are a couple on the market. Sacco make one called LPRA. The other one is called, it's by Danisco, choose it, called Holbach LC. And it's got a culture in it called Lactobacillus lactis subspecies. God, what the heck is it? Ramus? No? Yeah, that'll do. And the other one is Lactobacillus lactis subspecies plantarum. So it's got two cultures in it, and they can also be used for fermenting vegetables, but they are definitely protective cultures, and they prevent this sort of thing as well. Anyway, moving right along. Thank you, Liz, for that. I really appreciate it. Next one is from Michael and Jenny, and says, "Hi, Gavin. After 10 weeks maturing in the cheese cave, we decided to open up our tome, waxed on 8th of February 2023, made from 8 litres of goat's milk." So there is. Lovely waxing job too, by the way. And some nice rocket from your garden. There it is, very white, as goat's milk is. Says, "We found it slightly acidic, creamy, nicely salted, no moisture under the wax, a lovely cheese. The other 3/4 was vacuum sealed and put back into the cheese cave. We'll try some more in 4 to 6 weeks. Thanks, Michael and Jenny." Says, "P.S. The rocket is from our garden." Oh, very good. It's a good looking cheese. I think there's one more photo. Let's have a look. There it is. A little bit crumbly, but it looks really creamy. I love the colour. The colour of goat's milk cheeses are always stunning. That pure whiteness, because of the lack of beta-carotene in the milk, is just... it's amazing. I love it. Well done, Michael and Jenny. Great looking cheese. The next cheese is from Shauna. I love little mices. It says, "Hey Gavin, happy Anzac Day, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service." Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate it. It was 20 years of highs and lows, that's for sure, when you're in the Navy. Yeah. Anyway, we won't talk much more about that. We can, but different place. I've attached a couple of photos for the gallery. First is Monterey Jack with peppercorns. It is aged 3 months, has a good Monterey Jack flavour with a nice pepper aftertaste. I couldn't make triple pepper jack as no one in our home except me likes chilies. So, yeah, that looks fantastic, Sean. I love the peppercorns. Like I said, if you want something a little bit milder, but with a little bit of a peppery burst, try green peppercorns. I know here in Australia, in the supermarkets, you can buy them in a little green tin, and they're imported from France. So, yeah, you could try those if you wanted to. But yeah, great looking cheese, Shauna. I'm very impressed. The next one is also from Sean. It says, this next is my Gaviera. Graviera, lovely. This was made with 8 litres of cow's milk and 2 litres of goat's milk. Has 1/64th of a teaspoon of lipase added. I'm going to vacuum pack and age for 6 months. It'll be a magnificent cheese. Don't forget to try and cook the Gaviera as Saganaki either, Shauna. It blew my mind, and Kim couldn't get enough of it as well, and neither could Ben. It was just delicious. Just put in a little bit of flour, coat it in flour, and then and fried in olive oil. I tell you what, the flavour just increases. It's actually better than the cheese itself without being cooked. So yeah, delicious. The next one is from Shauna as well. It says, lastly, is a Cotswold straight out of the press. This is the first time I've made it with the addition of the garlic powder, which was a change to my original recipe. So we're going to compare them to the original recipe in 3 months when it's ready. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, Shauna. That looks really... I love the nubbins. The little holes from the mould. Very cool. Usually they all fall off anyway. But yeah, good looking Cotswold, that's for sure. Lastly, Shauna says, thank you again for taking the time to be here for all the curd nerds. It is very much appreciated. Say hi to Kim. All the best, Shauna. Thank you, Shauna. Appreciate it. The next one, this one's a bit smaller. This one is from Valerie. Valerie Biskoff, I think that's how you pronounce it. Says, hi Gavin, I just opened my chowder that I made on the 23rd of February? No? February 2nd, 23. Right, okay. And wow, all I can say. I'm so happy with it. My first taste of my cheese, and it's amazing. Very creamy, yet firm with a little nuttiness in there as well. This is your recipe, Gavin, and I'll be making it again. Thank you again, Valerie. That looks fantastic. I love the nice... It's getting a little bit pixelated, but yeah, a few little eyes, and that's perfect. Howder does have that. I bought commercial Howder, and it's exactly what it looks like. There it is there. A nice cut. A little bit of eye development. Paste nice and smooth and elastic. I think you nailed it, Valerie. Well done. Is there any more? Oh, last one. Yep. Fantastic. I love it. All right. I think that was the last photo for the gallery. Thank you to everybody who sent in photos for the gallery. I really appreciate it. Oh, need a sip. Hang on. So before we go any further, let me show you how to send in photos to the gallery. It's very easy. So we go to... hang on, I'll just get this up. So we go to the channel page, cheeseman.tv, if you want to get there quick, or Gavin Weber on YouTube. And you go to the About tab, just here. And down here where it says details, for business inquiries, view email address. If you're logged in to your account, you will get the email address after you prove that apparently you're not a robot. So send all of your photos and questions with those photos or observations or what have you to there, and I will include them in the gallery every week. So thank you so much to everybody who sent some in this week. Really appreciate it. Alrighty, so we have some more questions. Probably not a cheese question. Taco says, why do I dream of you at night? Beats me. Don't know. By the way, if you... What's that? Y'all. Right. If you need to find a use for your ricotta, Jennifer Murch has an amazing recipe called raspberry ricotta cake. I've used it with blueberries. It's the freaking bomb. Fair enough. But yeah, Jennifer has got some nice recipes on her site. She doesn't just do cheese. She does a lot of homesteading stuff as well, so that's very cool. Gooseberry Hollow said, I just made Gav's fior di latte mozzarella recipe for lasagna. A lasagna make. Super delicious. Yeah, that cheese really impressed me, Mr. Gooseberry. It took a while for it to come to the right level of acidity. So, there you go. Yo-Yo Bar said, Have you ever tried Brooder Basil smoked cheese? I can't seem to find it anywhere anymore. No, I have not tasted it. Sounds very regional. So, yeah, not sure. Herb, good to see you, mate. Made it before the gallery. Was prepping dinner and lost track of time. Oh, good on you. Nice. No, this Patrick has a question. I'm looking to make a... Oh, we already did that. I must have done it twice. Adam says, I made some raw milk chowder and had some curds, floating curds form. Is this an indication of anything bad? Yes, Adam, it usually is. When the curds don't sink like they should do, they're full of tiny bubbles of CO2 or hydrogen. Usually hydrogen from an infection if you use raw milk. It's called coliform, is the bacteria responsible. And it will make you sick, unfortunately. So if the curds float, not good. They should sink. Patricia has a suggestion for Shauna. How about using Tasmanian pepperberries in the Jack-in-the-Box cheese? Nice. Too hot? I'm not sure. I don't think they would be. They do have a mild flavour. That's why I kind of added heaps into my Tassie Devil cheese. Anthony says Cotswold in a box. So that'll be Cots in the box. Nice. Titus says, should peppercorns be put into boiling water to sterilise them for a bit before adding to the cheese? Yeah, I tend to, mate. If it's the black ones, that they're dried. So yeah, and then I add the pepper water into the milk before I start the process. However, with green peppercorns, they're already in a can, so they're already sterilised. They've been boiled. So you wouldn't need to do those if you got green peppercorns. So yeah, so that's what you'd do. Yeah, cool. But good question. Thanks, mate. Annoying fan says, I did see you were loading lasagna videos. I think, for Gooseberry Hollow, right. I was waiting until they were all loaded, and then I got rather busy. I watched them this weekend, cross my heart. There you go. You got a fan, Gooseberry. Nice. And if they're good, go and check them out, everybody, and go and have a look. Anthony says, I was unaware that there was such a thing as onion butchery. I think you were referring to the caramelised onion. Cool Cat says, I just looked up what a Tasmanian pepperberry are, and they looked exactly the same as peppercorns. Are they peppercorns that are just grown in Tasmania, or a different genus? They are actually different. They're a native, we call them bush tucker here in Australia. So they're actually a native plant to Tasmania, and they do not taste like pepper. They do have a peppery flavour, but they also have this tongue numbing property, a bit like Szechuan pepper, which is also not real pepper. It's different. The pepper that we normally see in pepper shakers. But they do have a spicy flavour, so it is a different genus. M says, hi, I have a red Leicester pack that I made a year ago, and it is still bitter. Will it eventually go right, or should I just bin it? No, don't bin it. It won't go right, because it sounds like there was a lack of salt, which causes bitterness in cheeses. What I would do is convert it into an American style cheese, so use some sodium citrate. I have a video on how to make American cheese. You can make it with any sort of cheese, so very simple to do. Let me just find it for you. Excuse me, got a bit of a frog in my throat. Let me just bring that up. Rhamnosus, yes, thank you, Tracy, for the protective culture. What am I doing? Right, so let's go and search for what the heck I was searching for. American cheese. How to make American cheese with Larry. And Larry and I made this... he made his version, I made my version. Mine was a simpler one than... and he added butter and a whole bunch of other stuff. I just added sodium citrate. So, yeah, go and check out that recipe. And you'll be able to process your bitter red Leicester into something amazing, because it gets rid of it. Once you cook the cheese or melt it down, the bitterness actually goes away. So you can cook with it as well, so that would work. But make it into American cheese. It'll be amazing. So don't you worry about that. Cool Cat says, you cried watching Star Trek. Well, at least you haven't admitted it on the internet or anything. Yeah, it's not like thousands of people are watching it. Goodness me. Patricia says, Cool Cat, the Tassie berries I'm thinking of are the ones Gav used making his recent Tassie cheese. Yes, I live in Canada and have never seen them, although I thought Shauna was in Australia and would have access to them. Yeah, Shauna's in Tasmania, so she should have access to Tasmanian pepper. But you can buy them at culinary stores or kitchen suppliers throughout the world. They are now exported everywhere, so you should be able to find them. I think you'd probably even find them on Amazon. Somebody will sell them there. Amazon has everything. Patricia says that the goat cheese with red wax is really striking. Yeah, that was really cool. So that was Michael and Jenny's cheese. And even the chowder that made by Valerie looked really good as well. Okay, 17 Dragons. Hey Gav, sorry, been a minute. I wanted to ask what happened to the cancer patient you had in your family. That was my wife. Hope all went well. Yes, she's all clear. So there you go. Glad you asked. Thank you. And there's a video if you go and check out our vlog channel. We have a vlog channel as well. Let me just plug that. Why not? I got some time. Do I have I got a podcast channel as well, if anybody's interested, but I'll have a look at the vlog channel. So that's the podcast channel, Little Green Cheese, where you'll see all the interviews. Look, there's even the lovely Patricia down here, and Ruth, and I've been in contact with Ruth by email. She's not on the chat today because she's travelling back from Hawaii from a holiday. And even Jennifer and Tracy from Cheese Needs, and Tutu as well. So many people in interviews, and I love it. The podcast channel's great. I'll probably put about 6 episodes up a year. So anyway, we'll go from there. So let's do a new tab and go and check out the vlog channel. Here we go. Gavin and Kim. Now, if you want to learn about us and everything that happened and her cancer and the whole journey, we got videos on it, so you can go and check that out. If you're looking for it, it's at Gavin and Kim. So I'd love to get to 4,000 subscribers soon. So, and we've got a Hamish and Bonnie Westy update as well. We're our 2 little doglets, or doggos, who Kim's looking after. So yeah, there you go. Go and check out those other channels. So the podcast channel and the vlog channel. We got lots of channels. Not only cheese, we do other stuff. So you can check them out. Anyway, next question is from Dr. McCoy. You may experience a numb tongue. Yes, that's Star Trek references. It's very good. Katarina says, got to go. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Katarina. And thank you for watching, mate. See you later. Bye-bye. We're not all finished. The cots in the box is freaking hilarious. I'm glad people are having a good time today, so me included. So anyway, Seal says, hello, Gavin. Hello, everybody. I missed these sessions. Moved into my... Oh, thank you, Tracy. Moved into my newly built house recently and haven't been able to make cheese for months due to logistics. Can't wait to get back into it. That would be great, Seal. Looking forward to seeing some photos of your cheese. That would be magnificent. Tracy said, nobody made it flash yet. Thank you very much for the, well, it looks like $3 Canadian. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Tracy. Appreciate it. Thanks for your support. M says, I used a stack of salt because I like salty cheese. Perhaps I used too much rennet. Okay, so when you say a stack of salt, depends on the ratio of salt to curds. So at a minimum, to prevent bitter cheese, you need 2% per weight of curd. So 2% salt to the weight of the curd. Up to about 2.7%. I wouldn't go any higher than that at all, because you'll find that not only is it too salty, it actually sucks a lot of the whey out of the cheese, and it becomes extremely crumbly as well. Too much rennet, it depends on the type of rennet you used. Animal rennet doesn't tend to make cheese go bitter, apparently, and I haven't experienced it personally. Too much vegetarian rennet or fermented Cheeseman rennet will cause bitterness. I tend to stick to, when I'm using single strength rennet, I tend to stick to 2.5 milliliters or half a teaspoon per 10 liters of milk, and I never have any issues whatsoever. That's when I'm using Chimax Plus, so which is the type of rennet that I tend to use. So Patricia says, Gavin also has a video on how to make sodium citrate at home. Indeed, I have, and I've had so many comments from so-called chemists that it wasn't a good process. However, it made the cheese, didn't make me sick, and it felt great. So yeah, if you're going to have a look at that video, go and check out some of the hilarious comments down below the sodium citrate one. Anyway, Karen says, and has a question, we have talked a little bit about acidity today. As a relatively newbie, would you suggest measuring this to help me learn more about my cheeses? Yes, I can get too intense about the process. I tend not to, Karen. If you stick to the recipes and all things being equal, the timings that I use prevent over-acidification, and I rarely experience it. If you start measuring pH off the bat, you could get overwhelmed by the process. This is just a thought. Some people do start measuring pH all the time, and you can do that, and then you'll get consistent results. At least you'll know whether the milk is too acidic or not. But from the get-go, when I start making the videos, I thought, well, how can I make this as simplified as possible, and make the recipes as simplified as possible, to lower the barriers to entry for people. So if you want to measure the pH, there's pH test strips, pH meters. Hannah make a good test meter. It's expensive, but they do make some good test meters. But don't use those fish tank aquarium pH test meters. They just don't work, and you have to calibrate a good pH meter with test solutions. Those aquarium ones are just no good for cheese making. You can't get the probe in there. So anyway, so there's some suggestions. Valerie's got a comment around that. Says, I've tried test strips and a pH meter that I later found to be for liquids. Finally bought one from Cheese on Amazon, not cheap. There you go. So yes, you can do that. Herb says, always have a good time here learning more about cheese making. Thank you, Herb. Appreciate it. Herb also says, I tried pH testing, but just thyme and curd fill seems to work just fine in cheese without spending a lot. Yeah, indeed. You can tell when the curd's ready to press when you're stirring it is you do the squeeze test. You would have seen that in a few of my videos where you squeeze the curds, let go, and if they still form, they form a ball in the palm of your hand, then they're nearly ready to press. To test whether they are, if you press it then with your thumb, press the curd ball, it's very hard to see, because I haven't got any curds in my hand. But if you press it and it just breaks apart, then it's ready to press. You've stirred it enough. So I always check it at the end. Alrighty, that, I think, what time is it? It's time. We're finished, I think. And Anthony says people have been making cheese without pH meters for millennia. Indeed they have. But the thing is, Anthony, they make one single cheese and they consistently use it with the same milk. But they can tell the process. You're exactly right, that they know the feel of the curds and all that sort of stuff, as Herb was saying. Anyway, let's finish the show for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget that we do have a beginner's course, a structured course, over at the Curd Nerd Academy, courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. I think you can even search for it in Google now, and you'll just find Curd Nerd Academy, and the page will come up. You can get your cheese making supplies over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. We ship everywhere, well, except for the places the United Nations say we can't. So, yes, you can get all your cheese making supplies over there. And don't forget, you can pick up the merch, of course. Don't forget to plug the merch over at merch.cheeseman.tv. Go and check that out. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. It's been fantastic. And just to see the show off, let's hit the Curd Nerd light, let it go off. And, yeah, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.